Coming to Cynthia, you've had a great run in the data and analytics space, and specifically in a large enterprise like John Deere, which is like 180 plus years old and still moving at a really fast pace. So how have your experiences shaped you as a leader and also as a strong woman leader in data and technology?
Yeah, so I think what always motivated me was the piece about problem solving. And in college is where I discovered that you can also do that through data and analytics. And, there's always been the satisfaction that I get when you work with something so messy at times and you finally reach a conclusion or you reach an insight. So I think that, so prior to John Deere, I was in financial services. Before that, I was in retail e-commerce, but all along the journey has been in digital analytics. So I think that diversifying my industry experience while always focusing on digital analytics has really allowed me to understand different customer behavior through different industry and how they act, right? And that has helped me with my background in marketing, to be able to understand the customer in a different way. So try to solve the problems in a different way. But yeah, here I am now at John Deere and also focusing on digital analytics for our e-commerce platform and definitely learning a lot along the way.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that again. Cynthia, I can totally relate to how you spoke about finding a method in madness and, making sense of the messy world that data is. So curious to hear and learn more about what you have to say there. So I'll move on to Balaji. You have had a decade of experience with one of the marquee retailers in the world. So please do tell us about your journey and what has been some key moments of truth in your career that led you to develop a deeper appreciation of the product craft, the domain of retail and fulfillment at large, Balaji.
Sure, absolutely. So, out of my 22, I'm going to really stick to Tesco, which has been where I've spent 16 and a half years. It's a fantastic journey and very similar to, the other esteemed panelists. I started as a business analyst, and one fine day we moved away from being a BA to a product manager. And I still remember the days I was wondering what exactly does a product manager do? Because a BA's job is very easy. Somebody gives you the requirement, you take the requirement, work with the engineering and develop it. Whereas a product manager actually identifies problems. So that was like a mind shift change to work with. Interesting things in Tesco, I've actually dirtied my hands across domains. I've been a product manager. I've been a program manager for some time. I've also been a development manager, purely to go and understand and empathize with the other world and the other side of things. You spoke about my aha moment, if I have to be very honest. I spent 4 years in Thailand where we used to run the Tesco operations there. And as part of being a store product manager, so though I am from a supply chain, experimenting, I said I'll be a store manager, store operations product manager. So we had to be, in Tesco, we have a concept of what is called as a club card. So you buy and you use your club card at the point of sale. You get your points get credited, and then you use that points at different points of time. A typical problem statement we identified was not many customers will bring their club cards, and that's a 12-digit long number. Nobody will remember it. So we identified and said, let's have a feature where you give your mobile number, and all that you have to do is give the mobile number, and your club card points get credited. Looks like a very simple feature. We built that capability. And how do we use it? So we identified a short key, one of those F1, F2 keys that we said we use this key. All that the colleague in the store has to do is press that button. It will pop up and say, enter your mobile number. Customer tells the mobile number, enter the mobile number, and you're done with it. All done. We deployed it in a couple of stores, and immediately a call comes from the stores in Thailand saying, things are not working. Can you come over? I went there, and what we realized is the store actually had configured some of these hotkeys for themselves. And so they were trying to do a payout, and it pops up a mobile screen. They don't know what to do. What I realized at that moment is, while we talk a lot about customers who come and shop, the colleagues who are actually doing the day-to-day operations, they are actually under immense stress. As product, we have to empathize with them. So any change that you do has to land extremely well, not just for the customer, but for the colleagues, because the stress that they go through is at one side, you have customers waiting at the queue to say, I want to check out what's happening. And that was my aha moment. So any change that I do, I make sure that, the colleagues are sort of well taken care of, the operations are seamless. And that's been my aha moment at Tesco.
Yeah, no, that totally relate to that again, Balaji. I think an equal focus on the external customer, but more so in the internal customer as well becomes increasingly important, especially in retail, right? So thanks for sharing that. I will move on to the next theme now, which is the marketplace or the commerce context in your own landscape. This time we start with Cynthia. Cynthia, John Deere has significantly expanded its digital and e-commerce footprint over the last decade. And the e-commerce in your case is more vertical in nature and quite different from the traditional marketplace, or which is horizontal in nature. So how do you structure such a marketplace to effectively incorporate the dealers and also stay close to the customers? And can you highlight some unique nuances of such an ecosystem?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think in general, right, if we think overall today, the customer is very digital savvy and we're always looking for this instant gratification. So if you're going to have your customer browse and browse and browse, no one is going to do that. They can find the same item with your competitor that's offering them maybe a better experience. So the question became, how can we build a top of the line e-commerce platform to meet our customers with an aftermarket, right? So the idea of our e-commerce platform is to sell the right part at the right time for the right customer and building that convenience. Now, how did we structure this marketplace with a dealer? Our dealer structure has been the backbone of John Deere, right? And when John Deere decided to invest in e-commerce, we kept that in mind, and we wanted to maintain and amplify that business structure that has allowed John Deere, our customers, and our dealer to be successful for many, many years. So today, the way we build our e-commerce platform, shop.deere.com, is for you to be able to purchase a part, you do need to select a dealer. And through that, you can see the availability, the pricing, etc. But through the selection of the dealer, you're able to purchase that part. So that's how we mindfully build it around our dealer business system, even when we went online with it.
Thanks, Cynthia. I think that's an excellent example of how you take your ecosystem partners along while reimagining certain business models. Thanks for sharing that. Balaji, over to you. Tesco Online Services serves more than 99% of UK postcodes, I think. And like many other retailers, Tesco experienced an online sales boom as well during the pandemic. So I have a two-part question to you. Firstly, what kind of e-commerce initiatives have you implemented recently to achieve this scale? And secondly, Tesco has grocery at its core, and that can be quite different again from an everything store kind of an e-commerce site. So can you highlight some nuances unique to this sub-industry as well?
Sure. So I think, yeah, I mean, like you rightly mentioned, right, we were predominantly, or we continue to be a very strong brick and mortar retailer. Most of our sales come from people shopping at the store, but pandemic changed everything. I still remember the days where, overnight there's a COVID, everybody is in the lockdown, but most of us are frantically working because everybody is now coming online. So three things that we had to do those days. One, platform scalability, because our platforms were not ready to take 5x, 10x load, right? So effort put to improve the platform scalability, and security is another key aspect there. The second interesting thing was we also had to cater to what were the legal asks coming our way. So for example, UK came up with the concept saying sensitive customers, old people, people with ailments, they have to be given preferences. So we had to overnight work out through our systems, how do we ensure that we identify sensitive customers and give them those the privileged slots, if I use that word, or make sure their baskets are always being fulfilled first. And the third is supply chain operations, because getting a 10x order is easy, but having that supply chain to support it was another big challenge. Our transport fleets increased overnight from almost 12 an hour to 20 an hour delivering. Was a fantastic experience. So while we talk about tech improvements, the holistic end-to-end enhancement to support the scale was fantastic. Coming to the second part of your question about the nuances of this industry. Grocery retail is very challenging because it's a very, very low margin industry, right? The margins are very low. Number one. Number two is we deal with perishable products. So which means that your supply chain has to be really spot on to make sure that you're able to have the throughput of products through your system as quickly as possible. Because the more the waste, the more money we lose. And to do that, I think at Tesco, the biggest challenge we have is because we sort of have 500 million plus average week-on-week sales. So the ecosystem that we have, like 3,500 plus stores to support that. Likewise, we have huge football size depots and warehouses. Likewise, we have heavy fleets of transport. So technology is the backbone of all of this. And to run this exhaustive operation, I think the biggest thing that we have to do is we have to always be up and running. Our systems have to be reliable and ready to manage that scale. So that's to me, customer nuances are around, they always want to buy at a lower price. We have to support that. The operational nuances around low margins, how do we have a very effective supply chain? And the technology nuances are always around how do we keep our systems up and running to have this robust scale of operations.
Yeah, that's a great summary of, the customer, the technology and the operational nuance. Thanks
Sure.
for doing that forth.